Why, hello, and welcome to a Ready Communities update. We are 1 week out from the Social Impact in the Regions conference. Carrie, we are so excited.
Hello, and before we start, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians and elders past and present. This is our fourth conference, and yeah, it's a big one this year.
It is. And we've got an amazing program. The theme for this year is regions in transition, because we know a lot of regions for a lot of different reasons will be in transition, and that's either by their own design or what can feel like it's being imposed on them. And so how do we support regions? How can they be supported in going through that transition? And that's the conversation we're going to have in Stanthorpe next week.
And it's been interesting to have Stanthorpe as the backdrop for that because it's a high rating tourism area. There's a lot of amazing things happening here. Property prices have gone through the roof, and there are still social challenges here, not dissimilar to other regional communities that we've worked in.
That's right. That's right. And that's one of the reasons why we do what we do. For those who aren't aware, the Social Impact in the Regions Conference is embedded within a larger Ready Communities framework where we've been in the region for 10 months, where we move to the region, deeply understand it, and make some of those connections. So, as we say, the conference is deeply informed about the region. It's not all about the region, but we want to give that opportunity both from people in the host community to understand from different perspectives, as well as those coming in to see what their challenges are like from the perspective of that host community.
Yeah, and like the other communities we've worked in before, Kempsey in 2024, Grafton 2025, we have also worked very hard to build readiness in this community. Readiness, of course, with those five different enabling conditions, Chad.
That's right. So, greater clarity on who's doing what, better connection both within the community and outside, and also connecting between having an idea and doing something with it. That capability and capacity, both from the individuals and the organizations, the skills and the funding, the collaborating for purpose on the round of things that matter to the community, and the advocacy and the voices for the different people in the community. Those conditions, which then lead to the end impacts that those communities are after.
And what will be different in 2027 as opposed to the last 3 years is that embedding of readiness will be very intentional and delivered via a training program as well. So thus far, it's been the people who have leaned into our program that we've worked in and activated a lot of opportunities for, which will be evident again in this year's conference as well. Next year, we actually have people enroll and participate in that way.
That's right. That's right. And so the program for this year, it is very exciting. Again, across 3 days around that concept of regions in transition. Just for a brief overview on what you're going to expect when you come, or if you haven't been able to make it, what you're going to hear from others they've experienced. Day one, Carrie, we really have that opening session like we do every year on saying, what is the state of play? The benefit of having an annual conference year on year is we can really do a bit of that benchmark on saying, what are the systemic conditions impacting community, both from the perspective of, say, the funders and the policymakers, and then from the actual practitioners on the ground of what is our lived experience with this. Those first two panels, I look forward to those every year.
Oh, so do I. And it's really good to have that really broad perspective of exactly how it's experienced on the ground. But then in the very first panel, we have descriptions of the experience from a government perspective, philanthropy, and also a corporate perspective. And quite often, the regional communities we work in, people are just simply seeking grants to do what they want to do. So this panel will really give people scope, not only in different ways to resource what they're doing, but also the knowledge, the networks, the change, and different ways to create change and make it stick, which of course is what readiness is about.
That's right. That's right. And then heading into after that, we have the panel on
National
the
regional
challenge areas,
challenge.
the
Yeah,
National Regional
we've got a
Challenge.
lot
That's right.
going on in our minds right now.
We do, we do. So in 2026, we did launch the National Regional Challenges. We've been collecting case studies leading up to the conference, doing some mapping, which we're going to release this week. And then at the conference, we're going to have six impact labs focused around the six National Regional Challenges. And this is in part response last year where we did the impacts labs. They were good, but like, what do we do with this? How do we actually apply it? So at the end of those impact labs in the afternoon of day one, we're going to be creating campaigns. And these are national call to action that anyone can do within 6 months. And so the people in that room are going to help co-create what that looks like, and then release that for Australia, obviously with continued contribution from others on the shaping of those campaigns. But then give us something practical to measure at the end of those 6 months around April or May next year, when again, we're going to launch the next round of national regional challenges.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. It's a really sophisticated way to have the event present throughout the entire year instead of just a 3 day event and then it disappears. So this is our format ongoing now. So we go into that host community in the beginning of the year, come up with the focus areas, look at national, regional challenges. We've collected case studies as a result of that. Numerous people that have created case studies are coming to the conference. At the conference, we create the campaigns, and the campaigns go to the market. And then in May next year, we produce our next impact report as well. And then it just keeps continuing. So it means that even if you can't make the conference this year, you can still participate.
That's right. And really also as part of the underpinnings of the conference, as well as the work that we do, is not wanting to be a hit across the top, but how do we collectively address the systemic conditions that are contributing to some of the challenges and opportunities that we're seeing? So it really gives people the opportunity to engage with that at the systems level, because a lot of people that we talk to are systems thinkers, and how does this all fit together? Because we know with the six challenges, I can't talk about housing without talking about young people, without talking about volunteering, and it all is interconnected. And then after those impact labs, we have the National Pitch Fest. Again, a shift this year going from, say, social enterprises that were doing some really good work to aligning with the six challenges, where people that are presenting at the National Pitch Fest are presenting for the topics of, say, volunteering or housing or the cultural practices, those six key areas.
Yeah, which is exciting. Then we move into some social activities. So anyone that's ever been to social impact in the region knows that we do the social activities very well. This year we have engaged quite a lot of local artists. Stanthorpe's a very creative community, so it was easy to find people to engage in that regard. Still, though, we've been able to form some collaborations that otherwise may not have existed, which then takes us to day two. And let's not forget that there's our strongest yet youth leadership stream running through the entire conference. So Tasneem of Futures Isle have coordinated that stream for us since the very first conference back in Coffs Harbour in 23. And it's just going from strength to strength. So we're really grateful to the different donors that are backing that as well. Really super important. Day two, again, we kick off with two panels. And then we're actually sticking people on a steam train, literally. So the steam train is a social enterprise that is located in the Southern Downs region. And I mean, a lot of our advice, there's lots of ways that you can support regional communities, but the best one is to put your hand in your pocket and spend some cash. So that's what we're doing with the steam train. We've hired the whole thing. We completely oversubscribed, currently working out exactly how we're going to handle that. Nevertheless, people will experience that. They'll go to nearby community Ballindine. In Ballindine, they'll be bused to 7 different vineyards where their workshops will be. So those vineyards are used to being cellar doors. They're used to having people through, but they're not used to having workshops. So we're demonstrating to the community different ways that it can use its assets to be able to host business conferences. Because otherwise, like a lot of these communities we come into, they're just not of the size or sometimes don't have the capacity to handle business events. Now, Stanthorpe does have an incredible civic centre run by the council, which is an excellent asset. However, because our event is creative and immersive and we spend time in the host community, we really had to go out and twist a lot of arms to get people involved in hosting us and our delegates in their various places. Um, our iconic conference dinner is that night, and well, it's next level this year, Chad. We're very pleased that Leonie and Renee created the theme Abracadabra because it has been a lot of fun. And of course, I mean, Abracadabra creating as you speak, very aligned to regions in transition as well. And just so the webinar, I guess, I mean, we could talk about this forever because it's so exciting. But day three, Stanthorpe State High School has given up their entire premises for us to have an unconference on that day. So our youth leadership stream will be facilitating that conference. We can't tell you what the content is yet because the delegates will decide, and again, demonstrating how immersive this whole program is. But the part that I'm really excited about, and in transition of your role from the university into Ready Communities too, Chad, is the research forum, which will be cool.
That's right. That's right. So, and anybody watching my socials have seen me talk about this for the place-based research and what we mean by that, because we do see this term place-based coming up more and more, which is exciting, but is also comes with risk on, what does it mean, and the typical risks on it being potentially extractive, and how do we get a proper definition. And there's conversations around how we build social infrastructure so that place-based research can be done better with community instead of for, at, or to them. So really broad conversation for people that are part of that particular jam. So it's going to be, and I'll say it now, it will be hybrid of a sorts. It won't be the same experience as being in the room, obviously, but we are going to invite people to be able to participate in some degree online, just because we know that there's a challenge in getting people in the room for certain conversations like this. So that will be unique, and we will be having a white paper that's produced. But then in parallel, as Carrie, as you mentioned, we are going to have this on conference. That's also speaking to the feedback that we get where people are like, we want to talk about particular things. How do we create space for that? And it's really opening up to let the audience have that conversation. And I also want to speak to something that you mentioned on day two of going out to the vineyards. And that's one of the unique things about social impact in the regions conference is it is in the regions. Like we were very intentional because it could be very easy to have everything in the civic center. It's all catered. They know how to do events, etc. But it won't be in the regions. It'll be social impact in the civic center. So how do we do social impact in the regions? And the only way to do that is get people in the regions, which really helps celebrate, get them a feel for the host community. And also, we've instructed all of our hosts to make their ask, to say, hey, look, here's things that we're looking to do, and what are you looking to do, and how do we have that shared learning? Because one of the things that we acknowledge, and I was talking to Lachlan, who is a really innovative model around collaborating with all the different vineyards around there, which you're going to hear about, is he's at a certain point in his growth where people can learn about what it took for him to establish his business. But he's also saying, where I am, I want to go here. And so, who's been further along that can help me get there? Everyone coming to this conference is at somewhere along that pathway. Maybe you're just starting out with an idea. Maybe you're looking to scale. Maybe you've already scaled and you want to get back. Wherever you are going to be able to get something from this conference because it'll be deeply embedded in the regions that you're going to be in, applicable to any region across Australia.
Yeah, I think when with those micro suppliers as well, it's important for people to really observe as they're there that a lot of them haven't necessarily had an experience of this scale before. Of course, some have, but others we may have come up with a concept like, hey, can you serve wine in this particular place in this particular way? Or can you bring a marquee? Or can you pack a picnic hamper, which is a bit of a spoiler alert. But these things are so we manage to find suppliers that we really like. We test them out. We make sure we like their produce and how they do business. And once we've done that, we give them just a little stretch so that they can generate some revenue into their business, but also so that they can continue to do this after we've gone. So that's another part of that investment readiness piece. We're working with at least 23 local small businesses directly as part of the conference. The spend is close to just over $100,000 this year. So that's money in the pockets that if you've bought a ticket for social impact in the regions, if you're a donor, I want you to be really comfortable and proud of the fact that your money has gone straight into the pocket of those small businesses because that really, really makes a big difference in a little community. That is the topic for a whole other conversation, which I'll be very pleased to have, and particularly in helping regional councils to attract business events.
That's right. That's right. It really speaks to the theme of this year for regions in transition, and that transition needs to be funded. It needs to be supported. And so part of our work going into a region, being deeply embedded in the region, is saying, how do we actually practically help do this? Because as we often say in the startup world, some of the best investment you can make is to be a customer, to actually buy that ticket, buy that meal, to purchase that thing from the community so that they get all the pieces and everything moving so that they can prove the case. And part of the work that we do with these communities is saying that's a great business model you have. What would it take to do something else? And carry the work that you do in connecting all the different suppliers, the different providers, as you say, many of them who haven't worked with each other before, is building that soft infrastructure, what we call the space between the social infrastructure in the community, which again is framed around the readiness, where they have greater clarity, they're better connected, they're building the capability capacity, they're collaborating better, and we start creating that voice for the regions, which is all of this owned by the regions that we're in, so that then when we leave, we can continue supporting them, but also bringing that alumni together where we make the ask. And if you're coming, we will make this ask of you. Who wants to come back to Stanthorpe to support them in the next, say, 12 months of some form that you can have shared value from that? And we figure if half of you say yes, that's a nice little activation for that community for the next 12 months.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I think just the flip side of that last topic we were speaking about as well is I really enjoy the humbling part of learning in the host community too. So I love teaching events and went to Stanthorpe State High School last week to teach an events class. And that group of 16, 17-year-olds taught me exactly how the Civic Centre works, where you put the tea and coffee table, how service will work through a particular door, gave me local contacts. And I love that, the co-learning that happens, the collective learning that happens when we come into these communities. Because
Yeah, I mean, we,
activation's really important part of what we do. Um, you go,
yeah,
Ted, and then let's not forget to mention Annie Maria and her emerging social enterprise.
that's right. That's right. Just before you mention on that one last point I'll make is that um, anybody doing this work knows that it's as impacting on you as it is on the people that you work with. And so, obviously, being in a community for 10 months as we have, just really shout out to Stanthorpe and the entire community and the transformation it's had on us as we've learned working through it and developed, as well as obviously what we're able to give back and support that community. So yeah, it's just been an incredible experience, and we really look forward to sharing with the other delegates that come, the growing list of 200 plus that are coming to the community to be both share with the region as well as be transformed by the region, much like we have over the last 10 months.
Yeah, it's so true. And as many people have seen in our socials, we actually rented a house in Stanthorpe. So I've been living here away from my community, away from home for 10 months. And that's also had beautiful experiences like my dogs are here. So I've met an amazing local dog trainer. We've met the vet. We've met, had a lot of experiences that you wouldn't have if you're a FIFO worker. One of those people that I've met along the way and really enjoyed the company of is Auntie Maria DeVry. So Auntie Maria is a First Nations woman, incredible artist, and someone that was not only kind enough to lend some time, have a cuppa with with me and help me to understand the community, but also to really lean into the opportunities of the event. So when Auntie Maria expressed to us that she wanted to start a social enterprise in textiles, we were able to get behind her. So Ready Communities commissioned an artwork from Annie Maria. Annie Maria actually delivered 10 different artworks. So, and I really love it. It's two separate paintings, but the second painting is actually 9 pieces of the first painting. So she's called it same, different mob. And it's a reflection of the national regional challenge we have around the cultural practices. And the cultural practices challenge was tell a story that can belong to everyone in the region. So what we're doing with that artwork that we've commissioned is auctioning it at the community. So Annie Marie is hoping that obviously one person will buy the single painting, but then she wants to see those 9 pieces go off in different directions all across the country, which I just think is so cool. It really tells a story about the conference community as well and how it's together and connected in that way. So we'll be raising money for Auntie Maria through a silent auction, which if you're not coming to the conference, you'll be able to participate in as well. We're also selling t-shirts, which so Chad's wearing a last edition of our Evergreen t-shirts. We now have Auntie Maria's artwork on the t-shirts, and each year we'll be seeking out a local artist to be able to contribute to that too. So all of the profits from the t-shirts will also go into this textiles social enterprise. Will be able to support Annie Maria with that into the future too.
That's great. That's great, Carrie. It's such a good initiative, and of course, the researcher in me from a connection perspective is just really excited to see in 10 years what the lives of for those people who buy those 9 different photos and how they're all maybe connected, or those paintings that she's done, how they're all connected 10 years on. Because we do track and try to understand how people get connected at the conference and how that connection then creates a social fabric across Australia, across the 600 plus and growing. And I think this year we're probably going to hit 8 or 900 people connected through a deep passion for making an impact in regional Australia.
That's right. And also $1.3 million generated in regional Australian communities just through the tourism spend. That's not including the other spend and also the ripple effect that that has in the communities. Nor we know that there are entities that have received funding as a result of connections they made. We know partnerships have struck up. So we are strengthening that part of the research in the next 12 months. However, our initial aim to set out to create a conference, or we have been trying to get Confluence to stick. It's not stuck yet, but I hope it does at some point, because it is a bringing together of people that are creating and investing in change in regional communities. It is kind of like a theatrical program as well. Let's face it, it is not a normal conference. You won't need your toothpicks to keep your eyes open. Um, and yeah, we're just come, immerse, engage. If you can't get here, follow online, plan to come next year. And we're very grateful for everyone that supported us.
That's right. Absolutely. Thanks so much. Obviously, we're going to be posting during the conference. We're going to post after the conference just to make sure that we keep people involved and engage. Again, as you say, for people that may not be able to attend, but if you can make it out, really look forward to seeing you there next week in Stanthorpe. It's going to be an incredible experience, and I look forward to sharing it with you.